Imagine transforming a quaint, struggling bookstore into a thriving community hub. That's the story of the Chapter Verse Bookstore, brought to life by four friends with a shared vision. Ethan discovered the bookstore in the city's historic district, sparking an idea among the group. Despite financial hurdles and renovation challenges, they combined their passions and expertise to reinvent the space. Ava with her fashion flair, Liam the tech wizard, Zoe the wellness guru, and Ethan the literary soul each brought something unique to the table. Together they overcame obstacles in balancing their careers with their dream project. And now the Chapter and Verse is not just a bookstore, but a symbol of community that will take us through this aspect of the new 1%. Excited to follow along? Share this story with a friend who dreams big. Alrighty, so we've gone through a little bit about what their story is, but now we're going to deep dive into some of the context around their story. So we talked about Ethan's initial find, how he found this bookstore, and really, I think we're going to make it so that, because I am the author of this story, we're going to make it so Ethan found this bookstore kind of just going around chatting with other small business owners in the town. And he was like, hey, do you know somebody who's looking to sell? I'm a recent acquisition entrepreneur. I have a group of friends and colleagues that want to buy a business in the area. Do you know any entrepreneurs looking to sell? And in his search of just literally walking into small businesses that he pulled off the A to Z databases, he got a referral to somebody who was trying to sell their bookstore, because honestly they were trying to retire. The bookstore wasn't performing as well as it was 20 years ago, and it was kind of going under. And they were able to buy this bookstore, and we'll go into some of the challenges later of how exactly they overcame those challenges. But long story short, they did. And now they own the bookstore, and this is our intermediate level of the new 1%. So the first group is like, hey, we're just getting together, we're pooling all of our funds, we want to buy our first asset. The intermediate level is like, we have purchased our first asset, we now have the cash flow, we're managing that first asset. And then we'll go into the other two levels later down the road. So we talked about Ethan's initial find, but the group's vision was for a modern community space. So after buying this, they had challenges with the financing, with the due diligence, with the renovation. I forget all what I said they had challenges with up there, but I'll write out a better story next time when we go into the context of like, hey, what was this like pre-acquisition? And how did they get where they are today? This is just the context of the group and you knowing what they done. So they had this vision for a modern community space. To do that, they had to overcome the financial renovation challenges, which we'll go into later. But how did they use their skills to make this a modern community space? Ava put a more modern design on it. Liam had some tech integration and kind of creating an app specifically for the bookstore that we'll go into. Zoe's focus on wellness merged kind of the mental health side of reading a lot and the physical health side of kind of having a gym bookstore area that is good for, you know, moms who are stay-at-home moms and want a place to be in community. I literally just came up with that off the dome, but I think that would be a good, you know, they go to Target and they go to the bookstore and they might read a little bit, and there's some daycare there. Because Ethan's literary curation, he can get a lot of authors to come do readings or do book signings, and this is really how they made this community space of like, hey, all those moms with kids can come to this bookstore and enjoy an afternoon, kind of taking a break from their kids, getting some social time with other moms. This is some of the stuff that they made this bookstore, and we'll go into it. So kind of the first week of this will be, hey, what did it look like pre-acquisition? What were some of the challenges they came into? And then afterwards, it'll look like, what were each of their kind of unique selling points to bring into the deal? And then after that, we'll go through, okay, where are they looking to scale? What are some other issues they're running into? And in this, I foresee, so they each added some stuff, but I think some people's were more work heavy and then some people's were more kind of creative, or they could have been done fast. And so we'll run into personal conflict of like, hey, you're not doing enough work, or you're doing too much work, or there's not enough on each other's plates, or where do we want to scale, differences in the vision, Does this make sense to continue forward? We'll see people juggling their careers and their passions. So they each work jobs, and I'm blanking on their jobs right now, but like I know Ava's in marketing, Liam's in tech, and Ethan is in something kind of literary, and Zoe does something in the wellness space. So they're bringing expertise from their professions into the bookstore to make it a unique project, but they each still have their regular careers. So they're juggling their careers and this passion project that's a side hustle that will eventually cash flow. And so what are the strategies for managing those dual responsibilities? How do they do stuff at the bookstore when they're working their 9 to 5? Do they work pre-work, post-work hours? Where is this time coming from? Do they have families? All this stuff we'll get into. I'll give you a more deep dive of each person in the next couple podcasts. So for this group, you kind of have the idea that they bought a bookstore. You had an idea of which aspect they're bringing to the table. And the next couple podcasts, we're going to go through what does it look like pre-acquisition? What does it look like to juggle careers and passion? And then we'll go into a slew of other aspects for, okay, what did they actually do to this space? Those are the next 3 questions we will answer. Pre-acquisition, juggling careers and passions, what did they actually do to the space? And then we'll jump into many other things that you can bump into in this aspect of the kind of community investing, the new 1%. So that's what we got for you guys today on the show. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next one. And remember, we are a community of people judged not by our wealth, but by our impact.